Hello, I am Columba Blango. I have lived in the constituency and in London Borough of Southwark for so long. I have been a councillor in the borough since 1998. My children went to school in the constituency. I have had the honour to serve as the mayor of the borough, and also subsequently I went on to be the executive member for various portfolio responsibilities. During my time as a councillor in Southwark, I have fought for a lot of vital issues such as education, poverty, equality, community cohesion and engagement, education. The Labour government has failed our children and young people in Southwark. Statistics show that 1 out of 7 children in Camberwell and Peckham live below the poverty line, which is disgraceful.
Right.
There are more children living in poverty in Camberwell and Peckham than any other borough in this country.
Right.
Well, in order to address poverty, especially in Camberwell and Peckham, where 1 out of 7 children live below the poverty line, I think it takes a drastic action around a whole range of policy issues, such as childcare, tax, benefits, tax credit, jobs and skills. And I think it is only the Liberal Democrat that has the policies in place to come to grips with those with those problems.
Yeah.
Well, specifically to Camberwell and Peckham, Nixon, that is only fairer. We are trying to create a fair society, and for 27 years, the citizens of Camberwell and Peckham have known nothing different and nothing better.
Right.
I think this is a time for change, a real change, a change that will create a good deal for the citizens of Camberwell and Peckham, a change that will create fairness, equality and justice for the people of Camberwell and Peckham, and a change that will create a real representation for the people of Camberwell and Peckham.
Right. So I think it's fair to
Thank you.
Yes, good evening, Kushe, mi kabo, mi family them, mi people them. Welcome to another edition of Salone Talk on Diaspora Voices. Yes, it's that time of the week again where we're sitting bang in the middle of the week. So if you look left, you're saying, well, I thank God it's gone. Monday, Tuesday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, don't go. If you look right, and then you say, well, I've only got Thursday, Friday, Saturday to deal with. So Wednesday is a very, very special day in the days of the week in the world. For the one way we will get Monday to Friday job, get 9 to 5 job. Wednesday is a special day because it's sitting bang in the middle. Okay, I can't stress that enough. Bang in the middle. That's how I'm gonna say. So for you, when you look forward to the weekend, you say, oh, I've only got Thursday and Friday to work. I get Saturday and Sunday off. For you, when they work 7-day shift, you say, well, I've gone past Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I get me Wednesday for doing whatever I want to do. So yeah, so that's why Wednesday is special. So good evening, welcome to Salone Talk on Diaspora Voices. My name is Abdul Wahab Sise, aka the Moses for Salone ENT, aka DJ Little, aka the many hats that I'm wearing in the Sierra Leone community, and which you gave to me. I never gave it to myself. The only name I gave to myself is Abdul Wahab Sise, and that was given to me by my parents. Every other name was given to me. All of those names I embrace. The one that were good or the one that were bad, or I still take it. But as you notice, tonight I'm here on my own. This program is hosted by me and my younger brother, DJ Ish. But unfortunately, DJ Ish is not here with us for today's program because he's got other commitments. So for that reason, he's put me up and then he says to me, I trust you and I want you to carry on and do this program whilst I start training for the London Marathon, because this man is fit. And I'm so gutted because if this guy, I wanted him to draw inspiration, he would have drawn so much inspiration from our guest tonight. But who knows, maybe Ish might call into the program. So I'm not entirely depressed that Ish is not here. I do believe that he will join the program at some point. He's just not with us right now at this minute. But ladies and gentlemen, I have a very special guest. We have a very special guest on our program tonight on Salone Talk. But what I want you to do for me, I want you to empower me. I want you to help me out. I want us to go viral on this program tonight, because you don't have a guest as such and then you only have just 10 people, 15 people, 20 people. I want hundreds of you. I want dozens of you. I don't care whatever anybody else is doing right now. Any program, I don't care if it's Sky, if it's BBC, if it's CNN, or any other program on social media, switch off. Come and watch Salone Talk on Diaspora Voices, because they don't get bigger than this. I'm excited to the highest level. But in order for me to do that, let's make it easy. I'm just going to get our wonderful guest to just say, good evening, hello, kushe, kabo, in whatever language is sabi, because I don't think I am competent enough to doing justice, but I will try. Watch this space. But all I can say to our guests, good evening, sir. Unmute your mic. Just say hello to you Salone family.
Well. Thank you very much, Mr. DJ Million, Mr. DJ Little. Yeah. The Salone family, I want to tell you about thank you for tuning in, for watching this unique program. And I want to tell DJ Little and partner, big thanks for giving me this opportunity for once again interact with the Sierra Leone community. I hope you're going to enjoy the program. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you, DJ Little, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much. You see how wonderful our guest is incredible. He not even say what's in him, and that's how wonderful he is, because he's left that to me. As the host of this program, one half of the host of Salone Talk, because DJ Ish is not here, I'm going to tell you, our guest tonight, our honorable guest tonight, is no other person but a living legend to us. So all I'm going to say to you, good evening again, once again, welcome to Dr. Columba Blango. Dr. Columba Blango was born on April 23rd, April 1956 in Sierra Leone. In his early years, Dr. Columba Blango was an athlete at a very young age of 24 years old, where he competed in the men's decathlon at the summer 1980 Summer Olympic Games in Moscow, Russia, alongside the likes of the great Dele Thompson. Everybody know Dele Thompson, double decathlon winner, gold medal winner at the Summer Games. Dele and his people looked after Dr. Columba Blango at some point in time during those 2 days of the summer events, where Dele even made a very humorous comment to Blango and said to Blango, are you really a decathlete? Looking at his feature, his stature, and then he said, are you really a decathlete? He says, decathlon is not made for babies. we can come back there later. So decathlon is not made for babies. So because not looking at him as a young man, just looking at the physique, because as a decathlete, then you need to have some sort of a physique on you. But a slim and slender Blango was saying, it's not about the body build, it's about the skills and the talent. You understand? And so it was good. Blango was good in all sports, but excelled in athletics. He had the privilege to access to tennis club, sports fields, swimming pools, and other sporting facilities. And Blango has pumped so many lifeblood into the deprived community over the years by establishing projects such as the Southwark Community Games, the Rotherhithe Festival, and launched the Southwark City Tennis Club in Burgess Park. And that's just a few of his accolades. That is an achievement. He has made legacies in the community, like the community games, which he founded, like I said earlier, in 2004, and with the help of the legendary Mr. Rio Ferdinand and the City Tennis Club, which mentioned. As a professional teacher, PE teacher in his early years, and a lecturer, Blango also served in politics, served as a Liberal Democrat councillor for many, many years, and also as the mayor of Southwark in 2003, 2004. He's also attained highest power, highest office as a councillor cabinet member of for equalities, leisures, and sports, and then communities, equalities, and citizenship, following the footsteps of the great Jamaican-born Sam King and MBE, the first black mayor of Southwark to be honored with a blue plaque. But Blango as well has got his own many first, because Blango, believe it or not, is the first African mayor. Am I right to say that, sir?
You're right, sir. African-born mayor. Yeah. Yes,
African-born mayor, definitely, to attain the post of a mayor in Southwark. So we shall delve into that even more. As a parliamentary candidate for Camberwell and Peckham in 2010, he went head-to-head with the might of the great Harriet Hammond in the fight for the parliamentary seat in Camberwell and Peckham. Although Blango did not win that seat, he helped the Liberal Democrats to secure one of the highest ever votes as a Liberal Democrat candidate, where he was able to achieve a 1.9% increase in votes from previous years, ultimately winning 22.4% of the vote, but was defeated by Harriet Hammond and the Labour Party. Widely acclaimed for his skills and diplomacy in his role as a mayor, Blango was well loved and well respected by his colleagues and many other of his peers. Blango proceeded to set the platform for many other Salonian mayoral candidates who have walked through the office either as deputy or as mayor. The likes of Councillor Makishek, who achieved the post of a deputy mayor and as chair, and also Labour Councillor Dora Dixon-File is one of the newest Salonians to achieve the post of a mayor. That was back in 2015, 2016. And that's just to name of one or two of Blango's accolades. Did I do my job well?
I am shocked. You did. I am really shocked. I mean, you said a few things that I have forgotten about.
Well, honestly. You're not supposed to. Come back.
I'm happy you said some very important things I have done, like the Southwark Community Games, which was my passion. And you know, you are very good. You did your research very well.
Thank you.
And giving those statistics
thank you
accurately.
Thank you.
When I ran for Parliament in 2010 against Harriet Hammond.
Incredible.
I am very impressed.
Thank you, sir.
You did your research very well. You need to pass on those information to me because some of them I don't even have.
1.99 or 2 pieces of chicken and chips. We'll do the job.
Okay.
I have a great business manager and a researcher by the name of Pasori Ibrahim, and I'm sure he called you. And the gentleman that reached out to you is a fantastic guy. He does all the hard work.
Yeah,
And,
I spoke with him. I spoke
yeah.
with him a couple of times.
Yeah.
He did a pretty good job.
Fantastic. Thank
And
you.
I appreciate that.
So he has set the platform for me, and all I had to come and do is deliver. So thank you once again. Thank you so much. So we're just gonna dive into it, you know, because
right. Okay.
I am on Diaspora Voices, especially on Salon Talk. What I like for we do is let's have a conversation. I've done the formalities. Let's have a conversation. So tell me, what are you up to these days? First of all, Blango.
What is the medium of communication? English or Creole?
English.
All right, English.
Because we both got very much non-Sierra Leonean friends, and we need to make sure they have opportunities to enjoy the program and engage on the program as well.
Okay. Your question was, what am I doing these days?
Yeah, what are you up to now?
Okay, since I left the council in 2016, I went back into teaching. You know, I was a teacher.
Yeah.
While I was on the council. I was a teacher for 4 years when I was on the council. And that was my first term on the council. And my second term on the council, I gave up teaching after teaching for 14 years. And when I left the council in 2016, I went back to teaching. Now I'm the head of department at the private school, head of department of religious ethics and philosophy at the private school in Buckinghamshire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And are you enjoying that?
Very much so, except the traveling.
I was going to say, how are you able to navigate from London into Buckinghamshire without no headaches, no
I drive.
So I take it you're a very early riser then.
Oh yes, I leave home about 6:30 in the morning.
Okay.
To arrive at work before 8 o'clock. So and I'm at work most of the time.
Yeah.
Up to about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock.
Oh, fantastic.
In the evening. Yeah. So that's my life. My daily life.
Hectic. I take it you don't have any under 10s. The children are not under 10 years old.
No. They're all adults.
They are not teenagers.
No, I have 3 children. 2 have finished university. The eldest is in the Royal Navy, working as an aircraft engineer. The second, who finished university a few years ago, is working part-time, but spends most of his time training. He's also an athlete, a 400-meter sprinter, and is training for next year Olympics.
Indeed. We wish him all the best.
Thank you.
Well done, sir.
And the last one, my daughter, she's in second year university.
So then that means you can afford to drive 5 hours. I don't care.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic. Okay.
I make sure I do all my paperwork and administrative work at work. So when I come home, I just have a cup of coffee and 2 pieces of toast and go to bed.
And you crash out.
And I crash, or I do whatever I want to do.
Right. So just quickly, how do you compare returning back for the second time as head of department, and in comparison, because that seems like a very hectic work in comparison to working within the political sphere, you know, just to be brief, because we're going to dive into it a little bit more.
Right. Those are 2 different
skills.
Those are 2 different professions.
Yeah.
With teaching, you work with your colleagues and you work with young people, which is completely different. Even though as a cabinet member responsible for community relations and community engagement, I did a similar thing, but using a different format. I mean, it's all about people. It's all about community. School is a community. Colleges are communities. Mm-hmm. So not much different. It's talking, communication skills, people skills, meeting people and meeting parents and meeting as councillor or as cabinet member, taking decisions, attending cabinet meetings, just as in school, in institutions, you attend head of department meetings, taking major decisions and formulating plans to implement whatever program you have for the community or for your school. So almost it's transferable skills.
Indeed.
One complements the other.
Which would you rather do least? at the minute, if I was to say to you, Blango, now these two jobs are back on the table, which would you rather say I'll walk away from?
That's a difficult choice.
A politician never wants to walk away from politics.
No, it's a difficult. I mean, you see, but you have to have a reason for being in politics,
Yeah.
especially in this part of the world. Because in this part of the world, you do not enter politics to get rich. In fact, when you enter politics in this country, you get poor.
Well, in the Western world.
Yes, you get poorer. I mean, if you don't have your own extra source of living,
Yeah.
you get poorer because you have no means. I mean, I'm trying to compare and contrast politics in this part of the world and in Africa.
Yeah.
There are different motivations for going to politics in Africa. People in Africa see politics as a quick way of getting rich,
Yeah.
of making money. But so you don't have to have any political conviction to enter politics in Africa. But in this country, politics is made less attractive.
Yeah.
It is made tough, and you don't get any money out of it. Your benefit will be in heaven.
Yeah.
So before you enter politics in this country, you must be driven by some conviction. You
Wow.
must be driven by some ideology. You must be highly motivated towards something positive, like working with communities, changing people's lives. That is the only reason why people go into politics in this country. Otherwise, there's no point going to it, and you will not enjoy it. When you have a passion for something, for example, I have a strong passion for social justice.
Yeah.
I have a strong passion for equality. I have a strong passion as a liberal Democrat for even to make people have a better life.
Yeah.
Right? So those are the sort of things that drive you into politics in this part of the world, which is why politicians succeed in doing things in this country. When they have the power, they have the program, they have the sort of the potentials, they have the opportunities, and they also have the tools to work with, to implement their convictions, to implement their passions. And that is the only thing they do around their passion. But thinking about getting rich and thinking about a comfortable life, or thinking about everybody bowing down to you, no, far from it. Here, politics in this country, you go and meet the people. The people do not come and meet you. You go and meet them. I remember, because our term of office is 4 years. Every 4 years, there's an election. Within that 4 year, or within those 4 years, you should have visited every home in your community at least 3 times.
Wow. Is that part of the agreement?
No, it's not part of the agreement. It's not part of the agreement, but that is just part of best practice.
Okay.
Because you campaign every day for 4 years throughout your term of office. You campaign. And one of the campaign things you do is to visit homes, dropping leaflets, knocking on doors, talking to people. If you don't do that, and you want to do that during election time, when you knock on somebody's door, the question they will ask you, where have you been? Who are you? We've never seen you before. You see, so campaign is every day, right throughout the year.
Wow.
Unlike Africa, you carry your head, your shoulder high. You expect people to come and bow down to you. You expect people to come and meet you. And you will hear a politician in Africa tell somebody, oh, I have not seen you. Why are you not coming to visit me? Why don't you call me? I mean, here it's quite the opposite. It is the citizens, the voters, who tell the politicians, I haven't seen you. You don't call me. You don't respond to my letters. You know, this sort of thing. So it's completely different, and really hard work. And when you've done it for 16 years, as I did, you need some rest. You will hear politicians in this country say, I've been on it for a very long time.
Yeah.
I need to rest. I need to have a life. Some will say, I need to go and have quality time with my family.
Yeah.
Because you don't see your family most of the time. You're out there, late meetings, running from point to point, meetings to meetings.
Yeah.
You come back home, you don't go to bed till very late because you have meetings the following day and you have to do your paperwork. You have to read your brief. Otherwise, you will go to meetings the following day empty-headed, not knowing the issues. And residents, voters are very quick to know if you are not top of your brief.
Wow. So it's fascinating. Thank you for that. That you've said all of that. And knowing for what I know, for somebody as a young man like myself that grew up within the UK community, and what I see with political leaders or politicians and or civil servants, when they've completed their task, their role, so to speak, they will find something else completely the alternative, going into like public speaking, something where a 2 hours worth of job can give a returns 10 times better than what they've earned. You have literally hopped out of the frying pan into the fire, or from the fire, you've gone into the woods that is burning with blaze. Why leaving politics and going into education and teaching, so to speak? Yes, that was your early passion. That's your resume. But you could do public speaking. You could go into consultation. There are so many things. Why leaving politics and going into teaching, Blango?
Because education is my other specialty, is my passion.
Right.
When you educate young people, you impact the whole nation. Any one of them could become anybody. Like, for example, I have taught students who are now ministers, who are now top civil servants, who are great sportsmen and women. So I get the buzz out of that. I get some satisfaction out of that.
Right.
I mean, you see your product. And also, when I go on result day, when the boys, because I teach in an all-boys school, when I go on result day, to see how my boys have performed at O and A level, you get some sense of satisfaction, some sense of accomplishment. Because at the end of the day, you want to do something, you will see results. Yeah, something you will, like if you have a community duty to do, you have a program to implement, you want to see that program benefit everybody. For example, when I established the Sodok Community Games, I saw huge participation in sports by young people from the age of 6 to the age of 18. And also those who participated, and participation in sports increased by 70% in Sodok in a constructive way. And so also the academic achievement level also increased, especially among young Black boys and girls in schools in Sodok. So that gives a lot of satisfaction when you see positive results, you see. And you see, when you leave politics in this country, especially if you've done well, you have achieved, you have built your CV to establish your achievement, to establish what politicians are role models. In the first place, you've already got that standard as a role model, right? And if you have done so much in politics, it will not be difficult for you to get another job because you already have a very good CV. You already, if you have been successful in politics, you already have what makes success, what brings about success. So you are highly rated in the market, right? And also this should tell you that politics is not the be all and end all. You should have a profession, you should have a fallback. I mean, I take you back, contrasting this with African politicians, right?
Yeah.
African politicians, the reason why they would die to stay in power is because after that, most of them don't have a fallback. most of them don't have anything to go back to except to enjoy their ill-gotten wealth. Okay? So they would die to stay in politics because that is the only thing they know. If they move away from there, they are nothing. They can't go back to do anything sort of substantial. In this country, politicians leave politics. They go and become directors. They become they get high-profile jobs.
So basically, you start earning when you leave politics based on your credentials as a politician.
Yes. In this country, you don't earn when you're in politics.
When you're in politics.
You basically get pittance. Most politicians get rich before they go into politics.
Or they get rich after.
Well, yes. You get the glories after. Because when you leave politics, you get high-profile speaking jobs, you get high-profile engagements. They pay you for that.
Yeah.
So if you want to get rich in politics, you do your politics well and wait until after you finish. That's the time you start realizing financial gains in politics. But when you are in there, there is no financial gain. Absolutely no financial gain when you're in there. And you have to be a very good politician, to get that financial or influential gain afterwards. Apart from the finance, there is influence, right? Because in my own experience, I met a lot of people I will never have met in my common life if I have not reached that level of politics. I was responsible for international partnership in SADC. So basically, I was like the foreign minister for SADC. I used to travel a lot to France, Germany, meet international people. And if I never had that position, and if I was not mayor or if I was not on the cabinet, doing a lot of going around the country, doing a lot of high-profile performances, speeches in conferences, there are people I will never have met. There are experiences I will never have had if I was not operating at that level.
Indeed. I appreciate that. Thank you very much for that. Let's go now back to, we're just going to rewind the clock and we're going to go back to basic. I want to talk about Blango, the early years as an athlete, because that's where the definition, because one of the key people aspects of an individual's drive is about how they start at the beginning, the way you, first of all, your foundation. Talk to me about your childhood as a family, the kind of family that the network that you grew up in back in Sierra Leone, just briefly.
Okay. To be honest, I would say I was blessed. Whatever I did was not through my own power. It was all by the grace of God. I was born in an affluent family. My mother was a matron in the hospital, and my dad was a druggist. Okay, and they worked at NDMC. Then it was called SLST, and they started working there in the late 50s. Okay, so it was and they started working there as senior staff. They worked there as senior staff. So basically, throughout my life, schooling, I had a scholarship throughout my life, even up to university. From class 1, I was on scholarship.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I was very lucky then, and I went to very good schools. My parents sent me to a boarding school. I spent my whole life in boarding school. I went to a boarding school at the age of 6, class 1. That at St. Columba's Moyamba. That was the only boarding school. It was run by Archbishop Ganda. And all those busy ministers, the children of all the busy ministers, all the busy politicians, and all the busy technocrats attended that primary school. For example, the Magais, Albert Magai's children, the Wilsons, the Kouas, all those ministers who had very little time to take care of their children. We went to that boarding home. So I started there.
Yeah.
So I started within that environment. in a boarding school. And I went to secondary school in a boarding school as well. First, I went to St. Paul's Secondary School in Pujong, my mother's hometown. My mom is a Kai.
Okay.
There was this, and St. Columba's is in Moyamba. So I started off with being a sort of, I don't know, not by my own will, but there was politics around me between my father and my mother. Because I spent my primary school days in Moyamba, which is where my father comes from, my mother insisted I have to know her own hometown. So I had to attend a school in Pujong to know her own family as well. So that was the politics. I wanted to go to a different school. So, but I had no say in that. I had to start from St. Paul's. But later, when I had my chance, I came to Bo, where I was born. I was really born in Bo because my parents worked in Bo.
Okay.
And I ended up where I wanted to attend. That is Christ the King College. So I came to Christ the King College and I went up to sixth form and I finished sixth form there. But I grew up in a very beautiful environment. These schools I attended were prolific in sports. These are Catholic schools. St. Paul's Secondary School in Pujong was a very good school, had very good sporting facilities, and Christ the King College also had very good sporting facilities. And my environment in NDMC or SLST, there were very few. My dad and my mom were the first very few Africans working there. So we had the opportunity to live in that sort of affluent environment with the white expatriates who were there. We had a swimming pool, we had a tennis court, we had a very good private club where we go and enjoy ourselves, a cinema club. So I grew up in that environment, and I grew up doing sports, swimming, playing tennis, running all over the place, playing rugby. In fact, it is in Sierra Leone I started to play golf. You see, so I grew up in that sort of affluent life, and I thank God for that. And I had very good parents who provided everything for me, and I went to very good schools where academia was taken at a very high level. At the same time, sports was recognized as a sort of tool for young people to excel in academia as well. So I went along those two lines, sports and academia.
Fantastic. And just to say, because many people were thinking like they have all these opportunities and some do not grasp it. And they will say, well, now abona money owes, so to speak, me mama get money, me papa get money, but they miss the opportunity, they misuse it and all of that stuff. But you didn't seem to take it. You went in, embraced all the sporting facilities that you were. I'm reading from your earlier research, which was we did on the Diaspora Voices. You could do any sports. You are an all-rounder from a sports perspective, so to speak. But eventually you chose athletic, for which I believe you actually converted into decathlon at least 2 years before the Olympics. Was this the fact that the Sierra Leone as a country, we had, there was a gap, and then they needed somebody that at least could plug into that gap based on your talent at the time?
Well, I decided to be a decathlete because my nature, I'm adventurous. I always want to do something nobody can do or nobody is doing. For example, how did I started when I was in primary school. I represented my primary school. Those were the days when sports was seen as a tool for community engagement, positively engaging young people, and sports was used as a tool for social network, and also to improve health and to improve your academic performance. So the schools I went to were all Catholic schools with all the sporting opportunities from primary school. So I started representing my primary school until I went to secondary school. Okay. And I used to just run around. One day, my PE teacher, one Dominic Ambasu, God bless him. He's now in America. I used to do every sport: basketball, lawn tennis, swimming. And what people don't know, I was one of the first, I was on the first Sierra Leone national swimming team. Yeah. I played tennis at provincial level. I represented Sata province in tennis. I represented Sata province in volleyball and also basketball. And I used to like more of individual sports. I was not so much in like football. I could play football, but I was very much afraid of injuries because I was very aware. I saw terrible injuries in football, and I was very aware of how some of these injuries became disability for those people because of the medical. So I avoided. I played football only for my fun, but I even refused to play football further. Instead, in the boarding home, for example, Christ the King College, right? In the boarding school, Christ the King College. Recreation time is between 4 and 6. And there were various sporting events available, okay? We had basketball, we had lawn tennis, we have volleyball, we had table tennis, football, and athletics. And between 4 and 6, I would do all of them before the 2 hour finish. I would start from the indoors. I would start from table tennis. Wow. I was not very good at table tennis.
So how do you split your time? 15 minutes there, 20 minutes there?
I tell you what I do. Well, basically, when like table tennis, when you lose, you leave. Yeah? So I will wait for my turn. As long as I'm winning, I will stay on the table. But when I lose, I leave. And I go to the next sports. I go to like tennis. It's the same. Tennis, you stay on the court as long as you're winning.
That's
so
great.
I will stay on the court as long as I'm winning. And when I lose, I leave. I go to volleyball. So, and with volleyball, when your team wins, it stays. Just like that. So, and when my team loses, I go to football. When my team loses, then I will end up with athletics. Athletics, I don't have to lose. I'm not running against anybody. I'm doing what I have to do. So I will always end up in athletics because I choose what I want to do and I can do it as long as possible.
That's fantastic time management.
Yeah, that was how I did it. And I tell you what, there was a point when you do sport in Sierra Leone at that level, under very difficult circumstances. Remember, you have to keep fit. You have to be fit and awakened enough to go to school. You have to stay awake. You have to pay attention. You have to do your notes. You come home or went back to our dormitories, study time. You have to do your homework. You have to prepare for exam. It was tough because I did sports right throughout the year, every day. But at the same time, I need to find time to do my studies.
Your studies.
It was tough. It was tough. You have to be very smart. And of course, you don't have enough time to study as those who do nothing. And even when you go to do your studies, you're a bit tired because you'll be running around.
Yeah, because you're mentally tired.
Yeah, yes. So it was a very serious balancing act. And examinations are rigorous in those schools I attended, St. Paul's and CKC. Examinations are rigorous. So you have to really, you need to be smart to be able, you need to have that slightly above average intelligence to be able to cope, right? But it became easier when I mastered the athletics field. Like when I go to Form 4 and Form 5, I'm already top of the game. So I did less work on the track and more work on academia. But when I started secondary school, it was the other way around. I had to do more work on the track and less work on my academia. So you know what that means. Sometimes I struggled. It was a big challenge. Which with persistence And with some strategy, I succeeded.
Okay, fantastic. So how were you selected, Blango, to get into to represent Sierra Leone in the 1980s Olympic Games in Moscow?
Well, I tell you what, I used to do a lot of events. Yeah. I mean, the house I was in CKC, we always came first because I would do at least 4 events. Now you are allowed to do 3 individual events and you could do all the relays. So I did 3 individual events, which I came first all the time, even though I could do more, but, and I did all the relays. And, but I tell you how it all started.
Yeah.
You know, when you go to secondary school, you are new, your first inter-house competition. You meet all these guys who are there. I was unknown, but they knew I was very active. So how did it all come about?
Yeah.
I was junior then in my first year in school, but during the inter-house competition, we had nobody to do the hurdles for intermediate. And I volunteered to go and do it. And guess what? That was my first competition. No, I came second.
Oh, wow.
So that gave me the inspiration. And during my games lesson and other little competitions, my games master called me and said, look, you have a talent. He encouraged me. So the following year in Form 2, I did about 4 or 5 events and I came first in all. I was just in Form 2. So what would basically happen, I would just say, okay, I will go and try to do this event. First time doing it, and I will come first. That is how I established my talent. And that is how my PE teacher then, Dominic Mbasu, chose me and encouraged me, gave me my first pair of spikes, which gave me a lot of motivation. So I started doing every single event, long jump, high jump, and all these sort of things. And I did that up to provincial level, up to national level. Coming back to your question.
Yeah.
There was by then the Chinese had just built the National Stadium in 1979. So I took part in the national competition in 1980. So a Chinese guy looked at me and said, look, I see you can do every event. You are going for the Olympics. I can coach you in 6 months to do the decathlon.
Oh, wow.
And I said, but why do you think I can do it in 6 months? He said, because you have the talent. You can do it in 6 months. Because you have, he said, look, you have idea of how to do all of these things. I said, fine. So I had 3 months, basically 3 months to 5 months coaching from this Chinese guy. And that took me into the Olympics. And before that, I had represented Sierra Leone in the regional games and in the first West African Games.
West African Games, yes.
Yeah. And I would say my talent in doing various sports was economical to the country, because instead of taking 4 or 5 athletes to do 5 different events, they took me along to do all 5. So they saved a lot of money then. Like when we were going to the first West African Games in Nigeria in 1977.
Yeah.
Right. They had to take, they were looking for athletes to do the long jump, to do the high jump, to do the hurdles, to do the 100 to do the relay, 4 by 100 meters relay and 4 by 400 meters relay. So they were looking for 5 different people to do all of these events. And one of the managers said, you know what? We don't need 5 people to save money. Let's just take Blango along. He can do all of these things. That was fun. So in Nigeria, I did 5 events in Nigeria, 5 individual events. In Moscow, I did 10 events, the decathlon. Yeah.
That's amazing. Like, how did you interchange? Because the scariest part is, before we move away from this, the scariest part is, how did you switch from one game, from one sport or one competition, so to speak, to another? And then were you not exhausted? Was your body not battered? Just to
Well,
be...
you are battered on the last day, but you have to be fit. I was fit. I was very fit. There are 10 events, so you do 5 events in a day. The decathlon goes across 2 days. Yeah.
Yeah.
The first day you do 5 events, and the 10 events you do are 100 meters. You do 4 track. You do 4 sprints, 100 meters, 400 meters. You do the 110 meters hurdles. You do the 1500 meters. Those are the running events. And for the jumping events, you do high jump, you do pole vault, and you do long jump. And for the throwing events, you do the shot put, you do the discus, and you do the javelin. And in the first day, you do 100 meters, you do long jump, you do high jump, you do the you end up with the 400 meters. That is the last event. And then you do, before the 400 meters, you do the javelin.
Yeah.
On the second day, you start with the 110 meters hurdles, and you go to the pole vault. From the pole vault, you go to the discus. From the discus, you go to shot put, and then you finish up with the 1500 meters. So you have about half an hour break between every event. But when you finish 3 events, you have a 2-hour break before you go to the next 2. So you start about 7:30 in the morning and finish about 5 o'clock in the evening. So it's a whole day.
When you stood out there, you arrived in Moscow, you are in that track, and then you turned around because already he was an internationally recognized, and he was already a household name. And then there's a certain Daley Thompson standing next to you.
Yeah.
What
Thompson.
What was going through your head at the time? Did you even know him? And if you did know him, what was going through your head? And how did you manage to control your nerves?
Daley Thompson was the world champion.
Yeah.
Yeah, he won the gold medal in the following Olympics, and he won the Commonwealth Games, and he had won the World Championship. So he was unbeatable. He was an unbeatable guy, but he had all other Germans and Russians, big guys, fit, who are taking advanced training. Look, I was realistic. I knew I had the talent, but I did not have advanced training like all the Russians, the Germans, the Polish, and the British, like Daley Thompson.
Yeah.
And I was very realistic. I went there to make my own personal records in every event. I knew I was not going to win the gold medal. I knew I was not going to win the silver or bronze medal.
So you were looking for personal best in every...
I went to do my personal best. I had to be realistic. So that was my expectation, and that was my target. My target was not to beat Daley Thompson. That would have been unrealistic. Okay, so I wasn't nervous. I thought to myself, if I could only chase these guys and be close to them, I will do my personal best. And that was what I did. I did my personal best in every of the events. I did. And to me, that was a great achievement. And you know what? As I said, you asked me, going back 2 questions. Why did I choose to do decathlon?
Yes.
Decathlon is a special event. You have to be extremely talented to do every of those events.
And do it well.
So I had the talent.
Yeah.
And I did them, and I chose to do it. And also, as I told you earlier, I like to do unique things. I like to do things nobody else could do. And I like to be the first to do those sort of things. So there are many firsts to my names. Yeah. Like I was the only African to do decathlon in that Moscow Olympics.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So to me, these are all things. I take pride in my achievements. I take challenges. I'm not afraid of I'm challenges. I take the difficult part in life. Even in politics, I take the most difficult part in life, because it gives me satisfaction when you overcome any big challenge. So I'm not afraid of challenges. And being a decathlete, doing 10 events is tough, very tough. You should not be afraid. You should not shy away. You should face those challenges. And that is what my life is all about. Taking on challenges, even ones that people think is impossible, and taking on it well. Like I took on Harriet Hammond in the 2010 election.
Hold that thought, we'll come there.
Right.
Hold that thought, we'll come there.
Okay.
We're just going to finish on this last question on your sporting life. When you returned to Sierra Leone and after competing successfully at the Olympic Games, what was the reception you received, and did you get paid, so to speak, was there any remuneration from the government or the sports ministry? Were you given a motorcade? Were you given a
Right. That was not the
we're
first
having
time.
a conversation, so let's talk. We're going down to the bottom of the pot. Let's get them all out.
That was not the first time I represented Sierra Leone.
Yeah, but that's the first time we had somebody in the Olympic Games doing a decathlon. You're the first African.
That was my third time representing Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
Look, going back home,
yeah,
nobody wants to know. Maybe all your friends and some journalists who want to make headlines will write about it. But that's the end of it. No allowances. Okay, no, to be fair enough, we were supposed to have allowances. But as usual, we had to strike for our money. And what did they give us? $100 each. So you have to get your own personal money. I was lucky, as I said, I was so fortunate. Yeah. I had a few dollars on my own. And when we went to Nigeria in 1977 for the first West African Games, could you believe after the competition, the sport officers wanted to take away our trainers and our tracksuits. But some other people and myself, who were natural rebels, refused. Yeah. And we said, what is the point of taking our tracksuits and our trainers and all the gears? Hold on, what happened? Those, we were confident. Like I was confident. I was not afraid of challenge, never afraid of challenging authority, because I was confident. Because what basically happens, some people in the national team are so timid that if they challenge the authority, they will be dropped out of the next competition. Yeah. But with what I did, the sort of, I was more useful to the Sierra Leone national athletics, and I was more economical. So they could not afford to drop me for any competition. Although if they drop me, they will be paying more for 3-4 people extra. So I had the audacity. I knew my advantage. I had the audacity to challenge them. Yeah. Yeah. So I didn't give back my tracksuits and other things. And when we returned to Freetown, guess when I was walking on the street, I saw those tracksuits and trainers with people who have nothing to do with sports. How did they get them? I don't know. Well, you could ask the sports authorities how that happened. So, our money, fascinating. They promised to give back our allowances, to give the rest of our allowances when we got back to Freetown. Yeah. Well, you couldn't see any officer to talk to. So these are some of the challenges about sports in Sierra Leone. But I would want to talk about the advantages of doing sports and sports as a tool for building communities, probably towards the end of this program. Certainly, most certainly, we will do. Because the key thing here we're going to end this on is about how your flagship program on youth empowerment. But let's move on now, and thank you so much. And by the way, I must stress that we've had some interesting comments have come in. And Betty Fala, who happens to be the chair of TOSHPA, honorary chair of TOSHPA, Auntie Betty Fala says, got the full story of your sporting life. Great, fantastic. And Betty Fala say,
we're watching. You're very, very privileged. Thank you. And it says, well done, Columba. Well done, Columba. And we just received a comment from brother Ahmed Kabar. Says Sierra Leone should tap into such a gentleman's experience, and I totally agree with that as well. So we're having some interesting comments. So please feel free.
Okay, thank you.
Watching, keep bringing in your comments. And unfortunately, I want to really make this an engagement between myself and Blango. So if you do have a questions, I won't be opening up the phone lines, because if we open up the phone lines, you guys are going to inundate. So it won't give me the opportunity to ask Blango all the question I want to ask. However, if you're watching live, you can send your questions through the Facebook Live, and then your questions will be asked, or you can make your comments. And feel free to share, create a watch party of your own. Let's share this, because this is a privilege to have somebody with such a wealth of knowledge. So let's move on. You're now